Hey, friends, got your daily Bible readings from the book of Genesis still. This evening, today, we're going to do chapters 22 and 23. And we are having a pretty severe thunderstorm here, so if you see lights flashing, it's the lightning outside, or if you hear loud noises, it's thunder crashing. It's been pretty intense. I don't hear it right now, and this house is pretty quiet. You don't hear much of what's going on outside, but every now and then I could hear it. So if y'all hear something loud, that's what it is. And after it finishes, then I'm getting more snow. Yeehaw! For like 12 hours it's supposed to snow. And usually when it snows here, it comes down hard and it comes down fast. All right. And temperatures, not tonight, but tomorrow and the next day is supposed to be in the teens again. It's cold already. It's in the 20s already, and I'm cold. I got the heater on. It'll be all right. All right, Genesis chapter 22. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham, and he said, Behold. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son, Isaac, whom thou lovest. Remember, Abraham, I think, was 99 years old when God let him finally have a child. And Isaac was him. And he promised him that through him and his son, that their descendants would be equal to the number of stars in the galaxy. That's a lot, y'all. And now listen to what God is telling Abraham. And Abraham's son Isaac is still young. He's still a young lad. God told Abraham, said, Take now thy son, thine only son, Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of. And y'all, that's when God is telling us to do something, giving us a command, that is very often how he works. He'll tell you to go somewhere, but he won't tell you what you're going to do when you get there. And that's probably pretty smart. Because if he had told me what he was sending me up here for, I like to be obedient to him. And since he worked me over good in 2001, I mean, he worked me over real good for my sin and disobedience. I've pretty much learned when he tells me to do something to obey. And that's what we need to be doing all the time, y'all. But if I'd have known when he sent me up here, if I'd have known what he was sending me up here for, I might not have come, even though I fear the Lord and eschew evil. I might not have come. But he didn't tell me, and I came. And goodness gracious, y'all, this has been a much more scary mission or ministry than my prison ministry was. Prison ministry was not scary at all. Even, I knew some of those guys would get out of prison. Some of them were there for life. They wasn't getting out. But some of them were getting out. And I was never afraid. I only met one after he got out, and he'd been in and out several times. But that last time he was in, he accepted Jesus Christ as his Savior. And his life was changed. And it's hard, starting life over after you get out of prison. And most of them are in prison for a long time, y'all. And the world changes. The world doesn't sit still and wait for you when you're in prison. It keeps changing. And when you get out of prison, it's a whole different world to live in. But this guy, I kept up with several of them. Most of them I didn't keep up correspondence with because of them, not because of me. But this guy and I still, even today, talk some. And he got out of prison back in 2015, 2016, something like that. And he'd been in prison like 20 years. So the world had changed a lot during those 20 whatever years. And he was young when he went in. I don't know how old he is. I don't know how old he was when he got out or how old he was when he went in, but he was young. He's probably in his late teens or early 20s when he went in, and was in his, I guess, late 30s, early 40s when he got out. So he was still young when he got out, and he met a lady, and they got married, and they had a child, and for prisoners getting out of prison after being in so long, it's hard for them. It's hard for anybody with a felony conviction on your record to get a good job. You can get a job helping a roofing company put new roofs on houses, or a sewer plumbing company digging up sewer lines and putting new ones down, or stuff like that. But it's hard to get a good job after you've been in prison with a felony record. But this guy, I don't remember what kind of job he got, but it was a good one. And he and his wife bought a house, a pretty decent house, and he even bought a Cadillac. I don't understand that. Cadillacs and Lincolns, they don't impress me, but he wanted a Cadillac, and he got a Cadillac. And last time I talked to him about vehicles, he still had that Cadillac. And anyway, I don't know how I got down that road. I do know how I got down that road, because you're fixing to find out right here. God told Abraham, "Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into a land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of." Abraham is over 100 now. I think he was 99, if I remember correctly, 99 years old when God finally let him become a daddy. Isaac is in his late, he's near teenage years. I don't remember if it ever says how old he was, but he was able to do stuff on his own and walk and carry on and so forth. And he's the only child that Abraham and Sarah's got, and Abraham loves his son very much, his only begotten son. Think about that. Keep that in the back of your head. Anyway, here God told him to take his son, his only son, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of. That's like torture. He's saying, go to this certain mountain or go to this certain location, head out in this direction. And when you get there, I'll tell you which mountain to go offer your son up as a sacrifice on. That's got to be brain torture, you know? Goodness gracious. And Abraham, listen to this. And this, y'all, this is exactly how we should do when God tells us to go do something for him. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac, his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went unto the place of which God had told him. Are y'all letting this sink in? Please do. And I forgot my little microphone thing. I hope y'all can hear me all right. Then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes, and he saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad, talking about his son, his only begotten son, I and the lad will go up yonder and worship, and come again unto you. Abraham had faith, y'all. And Abraham was extremely obedient to God. And Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together, Isaac and his son. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, My father. And Abraham said, Here I am, my son. And Abraham's son said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. Normally, when you went to an altar to sacrifice, you took the wood for the fire, you took the fire, and you took an animal to sacrifice. This time, Abraham went to the altar with the wood and the fire, but no animal to sacrifice. And so Abraham's son was asking him, Where's the lamb? And they came to the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order and tied up his son Isaac and laid him on the altar with the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called to him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him, for now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only begotten son, from me. When you belong to God, He's going to test you from time to time to see if you're faithful to Him. And you better be faithful to Him. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. Now, do you think that was accident? Do you think that was just happenstance? Did it just happen? Was it a coincidence that all of a sudden a ram appeared and all of a sudden that ram's horns got caught in a thicket? No. I keep telling y'all, God is in charge of everything, every animal, every fish in the sea. Remember Peter, the fisherman? There's examples from Genesis 1:1 to Revelation 20, whatever the last verse is. There's no such thing as a coincidence in the Bible. It's all providence. Things that God did through providence. And there's things planned in your life that's going to happen that you don't know about. It's part of God's providence. The Bible tells us to give thanks in all things. So give thanks in all things. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. Hallelujah. God's promise when He took Abraham out and had him look up into the skies and told him that his descendants would be greater than the number of the stars in the sky was going to happen. Had he slain his only begotten son, Isaac, that promise would have never come true, and God's promises always come true. So Abraham had faith in God. He didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't know how it was going to turn out, but he had faith in God. And we, my beloved brother and sister, need to have faith in God in every circumstance, every day, no matter how dark and gloomy it may appear. Have faith in God always. And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh, as it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it shall be seen. And the angel of the Lord called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time and said, By myself I have sworn, saith the Lord, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And thy seed shall possess the gates of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. Do you want blessings that'll knock your socks off? Obey the voice of God. Obey, obey, obey. Obey God in all things, even scary things like sacrificing your only son. So Abraham returned unto his young men, and they rose and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. And it came to pass after those things that it was told to Abraham, saying, Behold, Milcah, she hath also borne children unto thy brother Nahor. Huz, his firstborn, and Buz, his brother, and Kemuel, the father of Aram, and Chesed, and Hazo, and Pildash, and Jidlaph, and Bethuel. And Bethuel begat Rebekah. These 8 Milcah did bear to Nahor, Abraham's brother. And his concubine, whose name was Reumah, she bare also Tebah, and Gam, and Thahash, and Maacah. How would you like to be named Buzz? Oh my goodness. Hey Buzz, what's up? All right, chapter 23 of the wonderful book of Genesis. And Sarah was 107 and 20 years old. These were the years of the life of Sarah. 127 years old. And Sarah died in Kirjath Arba. The same is Hebron in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And Abraham stood up from before his dead and spake unto the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the children of Heth answered Abraham, saying unto him, Hear us, my Lord. Thou art a mighty prince among us. In the choice of our sepulchres bury thy dead. None of us shall withhold from thee his sepulchre, that thou mayest bury thy dead. And Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, even to the children of Heth. And he communed with them, saying, If it be your mind that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me, and entreat me to Ephron the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he hath, which is in the end of his field. For as much money as it is worth, he shall give it me for a possession of a burying place among you. And Ephron dwelt among the children of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the audience of the children of Heth, even of all that went in at the gate of a city, saying, Nay, my Lord, hear me. The field give I thee, and the cave that is therein, I give it thee. In the presence of the sons of my people, give I it thee. Bury thy dead. And Abraham bowed down himself before the people of the land. And he spake unto Ephron in the audience of the people of the land, saying, But if thou wilt give it, I pray thee, hear me. I will give thee money for the field. Take it of me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying unto him, My Lord, hearken unto me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that betwixt me and thee? Bury therefore thy dead. And Abraham hearkened unto Ephron, and Abraham weighed to Ephron the silver which he had named in the audience of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, current money, with the merchant. And the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field, and the cave which was therein, and all the trees that were in the field, that were in all the borders round about, were made sure. Unto Abraham, well, I guess that's the same sentence, but it doesn't have a period and it doesn't have a little letter. I don't know. Anyway, which were made sure unto Abraham for a possession in the presence of the children of Heth, before all that went in at the gate of his city. And after that, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre, the same as Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And the field and the cave that is therein were made sure unto Abraham for a possession of a burying place by the sons of Heth. This is some good stuff, y'all. I just looked at the time to see if I had time to read you a third chapter, but I don't. We're knocking on the door a 30-minute video, so I'll stop. Y'all, no matter what God commands us to do, we must be faithful. Just be sure the commandment you hear is from God and not Satan, because Satan will try to trick you into doing something, making you think it's from God when it's from Satan. So be careful. But if God tells you to do something, be sure it's from God and do it. Do not tarry. I love y'all, and I appreciate every one of you, even those of you with stinky feet. Now we'll see who listened all the way to the end. God bless you, my dear friends.